Getting the right camera is one of the most important parts of the filmmaking process. You really want to make sure that it's something that you are happy with and something that you're going to get used to. Now, if I just started shooting content today, what camera would I buy? Well, these are my top 6 cameras that I would consider buying if I just started shooting today, and they're around $600. Personally, I think one of the biggest misnomers is in order to get people to watch your content, you need to get high-end equipment. That's completely not true, especially when you're doing shorts, sketch, pilots, or features. It's all about the story. One of the cameras on this list today, I've created over 80 sketches with, and a few of those sketches have over millions of views. And this camera currently you could buy for $400. People watch those sketches because they were interested in the content that was presented. Yes, the camera helped deliver that, but it wasn't the sole reason they watched those sketches. Now, when you're looking at DSLR and mirrorless cameras for video, there's 3 important specs that you really want to understand before you purchase that camera. Here they are. Sensor size, resolution, and frame rate. Your sensor size is going to tell you how well your camera will shoot in low light situations. It will also tell you your field of view of how you're going to perceive through your lens. There's full frame, APS-C, and micro four thirds. Your resolution will tell you if it's HD, full HD, or 4K. In 2020, you definitely want to look at 4K camera, and actually all the cameras on this list are either full HD or 4K. When you're looking at frame rate, especially with video, you want to make sure the camera can shoot 24 frames a second, which all the cameras on this list can. Then there's 30 frames a second, and then you're looking at 60 and 120. Anything that can shoot in 60 or 120, you're looking at your option to shoot slow-mo. I love shooting slow motion. If you've seen my sketches or content before, there's always a little bit of slow motion aspect to it. Now, without further ado, these 6 cameras are the ones I would consider to start my channel. Number 6 on my list is a Canon Rebel T7. This is a camera I hold near and dear to my heart. This is one of the cameras where I really started finding my own ground with shooting and editing and really kind of understanding what I really wanted to do with the camera. And I used this camera for a couple years, really getting a good grasp of what I could do with it, what I can't do with it, and all the options around. And I was able to make over 80 sketches with it, some of which, like I mentioned earlier, have over millions of views. The reasons I like this camera is it's really light, it's easy to use, has great autofocus, especially if you're a new beginner filmmaker. Canon cameras have amazing color profiles, so the one thing that you really enjoy about a Canon camera is that the coloring of it, it's very unique. It's unlike a lot of other cameras. Unfortunately, it does only shoot in 1080 HD, not in 4K. And like I said earlier, I would recommend looking into a 4K camera, but because of how cost efficient this camera is and because of what you can do with it, and because of the content that I've been able to make with it, I feel really confident in recommending this camera to someone that's just starting out. And a lot of these bundles for this camera are going around $500 or less. So check it out. Number 5 on this list, the Olympus OMD EM10 Mark III. This camera is a beautiful camera. I've been able to handle it on different sets I've worked on. It's very sleek, has a unique design, has great in-body image stabilization, and it shoots 4K. With the APS-C sensor, it will be slightly cropped with that sensor. Also, this camera shoots 120 frames a second in HD. This camera is light, it has a tilting touchscreen, and comes in around $500. You really can't get cameras like this with 4K and all these capabilities for $500 very often. So this is one camera you definitely want to check out if you're just starting out. Now, if you're new to this channel, you like some of this information I'm putting down, be sure to subscribe and like this video. Coming in at number 4, we have the Fujifilm X-A7. This is a camera that's very slick, it's very beautiful looking, and it's a one-of-a-kind camera. Not only with the way it looks, but the way it works too. For Fujifilm, this is an entry-level camera that packs a fantastic 4K punch. It has a very angled screen, which means you could flip the screen around, you can look at yourself, you can flip to the side, you can flip it down. So if you're vlogging or a YouTuber, you're gonna get some great use out of that because you're gonna be able to see yourself when you're filming, or you can flip the screen any which way you want. It's lightweight and it has a hybrid autofocus system that nearly covers 100% of the screen. The sensor in this camera, from my experience, is very well designed and creates for some great low light video. Coming in around $550 to $650, this is a camera that you definitely want to research. Number 3 on my list, the Panasonic G7 Lumix. Great 4K video, external microphone input, variable angle screen similar to Fujifilm, and it's a really beautiful screen that really looks great when you're reviewing your footage. So it's something that, it's very desirable for a beginner because you really want to make sure your footage looks good. And with a wonderful price point of about $500, this is a camera that you have to check out. I would actually really highly recommend looking into this camera if you're just starting out. You really can't get a camera like this elsewhere with all the bells and whistles it has. One drawback could be that the sensor is micro four thirds and it would show some cropped footage on that 4K. But if you're just starting out, honestly, I wouldn't stress too much about that. I would just kind of focus on what you can get out of the camera. And this is a camera, this Panasonic G7, is something that you can really get a lot of bang for your buck, especially starting out. A lot of times people sleep on Panasonic, but I'll tell you something, they make a good product. They make a good product, bro. Now my number 2 spot, I technically have 2 cameras, but they're both from the same brand, the Sony company. I love Sony. I have a Sony A7 III that I'm shooting with right now. I want to get the A7S III. I can't wait for more Sony cameras in my future. So Sony makes a great camera for video. The ones I'm talking about right now are the Sony A6000 and the Sony A6100. I wanted to show both options because I feel like it's important, and I really feel like Sony does some great stuff with video. So I think you really can't go wrong with either. The A6000 is a bit of an older camera. It does only shoot full HD, and the sensor is older. It's an APS-C sensor, but it is only about $400, and you can even find it less on a lot of websites. And it would be a great entry for you to get into the Sony family because you could start kind of understanding the Sony functions, and you can start building up your Sony equipment. Now the A6100 is a much better camera. It shoots 4K, it has the external mic input, it has nearly 3 times as many phase detection points for autofocus, which means you're gonna get a lot better autofocus with the A6100 than you would with the A6000, but it does come in at a price point around $700 to $750. If you're able to afford a camera that expensive, then I would recommend the A6100, but this video is about finding cost-efficient cameras, and if you're looking for something cost-efficient that's still gonna get the job done, and it's gonna get you in a good brand, it's gonna get you in a good company and start getting equipment for that company, look at the A6000. You could probably get it for as low as $350, and you can start developing some habits with it and start really getting used to it. And my number 1 camera that I would recommend, this is the Canon M50. First off, like I said with the Canon Rebel T7, I really enjoy Canons. I really like the color profile, and I really enjoy using them, and they're really ease of use, especially starting out. This shoots in 4K. It does have a crop sensor of 1.6, so you will have a little bit of crop factor in there. I really wouldn't get too worried about that, especially when you're just first starting out. The footage looks amazing. It's incredibly sharp. It's very user-friendly. It has an easy menu structure. The autofocus on this Canon camera is amazing. I really enjoy the autofocus. The phase detection points are up there with the A6100 on Sony. Even though I think Sony's A6100 might be a little bit better, but this Canon camera is right up to par with that. It shoots 60 frames a second in full HD, which is gonna give you a little bit of that slow motion action that you want. Now keep in mind this price point is about $650 to $700, but it's right in that range where you should consider it. So if you're just starting out, I would really recommend checking out the Canon M50. Now honestly, these cameras could be in any order. They're all fantastic cameras. Also, keep in mind, all of these cameras have the ability to have interchangeable lenses. My point is that when you get these bodies of these cameras, even though it's, $400, $500, $600 camera, you could put $1,000 lens on that and you get some great, fantastic footage. Now, there's value in getting a full frame camera and maybe leveling up in the future. But right now, you could rent lenses, you could borrow lenses, and you could put those lenses onto your $500, $600 camera, and you're gonna get some footage that looks really cinematic and really great. So don't get too worried or headstrong just because your camera is at a lower cost. Keep in mind, $500 to $600, $700 is a lot of money. So before just diving in and buying a camera, there's different options you could do. You could reach out to your friends or family. Maybe they already own a camera like it. Maybe they'll let you borrow it and use the camera for a day or two. You could also go to camera rental houses. Also, once you have the body of the camera and you start collecting accessories and lenses for that certain company, you're gonna want to start leveling up in the future. So if you wanna go with Sony, you can start working your way with the Sony path. If you wanna go with Canon, you can start working your way with the Canon path. If you wanna go with Panasonic or Fuji, whatever you would like to do, it's really gonna be up to you with which path you wanna go down as far as the brands go. And lastly, when you're buying a camera, there's gonna be tons of accessories that you're gonna wanna look into. If you go on Amazon, if you go on B&H, if you go on any of these camera websites, when you're about to buy the camera, there's like 30 different things you can get down there. There's lenses, accessories, batteries, attachments, mic attachments. Don't get too caught up in that though. If it's your first time buying a camera, here's some accessories that I would recommend you getting: tripod, extra battery, detachable mic or boom mic, and carrying case. Those are like the 4 main things that I would encourage you to get right off the bat with your camera. And just remember, the camera is just a tool in the filmmaking process. It's not the whole determinant of how the project is gonna do. So whatever camera you get, whatever camera you use, just use it a lot, really understand it, really get a grasp of how it shoots and what you can create with it. And ultimately, that is what's gonna be most successful for you. Don't get too caught up in getting the newest one or the 4K or anything like that. Just use what you're comfortable with and deliver your content the way you want to deliver it. These are just a few tips. Hopefully you enjoyed them. Be sure to subscribe, like, comment. Let me know what kind of cameras you're looking at. If there's cameras I missed, definitely let me know. I would love to hear about them. Create your content the way you want it. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day.